Ryan Clark, welcome to the stage.
When I was 15 years old, I was walking down the aisle of the First Baptist Church along with 20 other youth holding my pledge card. My card where I promised to remain sexually pure, abstinent until marriage. And as the sweat trickled down my back, I prayed to Jesus, "Dear Lord, please take away my sexual desire. I am so horny. But I want to keep this promise and I want to be a good guy." See, good guys didn't pressure girls into having sex. Good guys didn't bump and grind on the dance floor. We didn't drink, we didn't smoke, and we didn't masturbate very often. And so we filled our lives with Bible studies and church camps and retreats and mission trips, all to this end. There was this promise: if we didn't have sex until marriage, we would have the most amazing, wonderful sex lives that we could ever imagine. And of course, we could imagine. And of course, God did not take away my sexual desire. So when I went to college, I doubled down on the Jesus stuff. I became the worship leader. I led the retreats. We went to the Christian rock concerts, and I led the mission trips. I even met my wife on a mission trip. And she, like me, was a good girl. She had signed the purity pledge as well. And our courtship was so sweet. It was long distance, and so we wrote each other handwritten letters and mailed them through the mail with a stamp. And we talked on the phone when there was 10 cents a minute long distance. And when we decided to get engaged, we did marital counseling with not one, but 2 ministers. And we did the great big workbook, every page of it. Now, we were hot for each other. And we wanted to have sex, but only the right way. Because after all, I was a good guy. And if I could just hold on a few more months, I would be having the most amazing, wonderful, earth-shattering, wake up the neighbors, pornographic, swing it from the chandelier sex I could ever imagine. Well, our wedding was beautiful. Big steeple church. We had 9 bridesmaids. And as we left the reception, we were nervous and excited. In a few short moments, I would be seeing the things and tasting the bits. I could not wait. And our honeymoon was amazing, but it was weird. And we got naked, but the line that we had had before, it still existed. And when we tried to when I tried to kind of brush past that line, no matter how sweetly or how warmly I thought I was being, my wife's body, Cindy's body, tensed up. And so over the following weeks, her body kept tensing up. And I was like trying to think of everything that I could do or not do, and nothing was working. And those weeks turned into months. And that tensing of her body eventually turned into a full-blown recoil. And this sweet couple who had bumped into each other as we walked down the sidewalk, we were now avoiding bumping into each other in our own hallway. At night, as the sun started to set, this dark cloud would descend on our tiny basement apartment. It's like this tension would rise. And Cindy would start kind of avoiding me, and I would, of course, I was trying to be attentive and do whatever a good Christian husband was supposed to do. But it wasn't long until we were just sad. We were broken. It was not working. So we went to Christian marital counseling and left Christian marital counseling, and we found another counselor, and she had been to seminary, but she also had a statue of Buddha in the corner. Her name is Terry, and we went to Terry's office, and we sat down, and I sat clutching one side of the couch, and Cindy was clutching the opposite side of the couch, and Terry came in, and we were talking, telling a little bit about what was going on, and she said, well, I need to ask you something. Have you come here today to try to save your marriage, or are you here to figure out how to end it? I could not look at my wife. But I had this sense that she was nodding her head. And so I started nodding my head. And I looked over, we were nodding our heads. Yes, we are here to save the marriage. So we talked some more, and then Terry kind of jumped in again, and she said, y'all, I think the two of you need a do-over. It's like somewhere in this thing, I can tell you have a lot of love for each other, but there's so much hurt, and you didn't learn what intimacy is. And we were nodding. Yeah, this is kind of making sense. And then she said, I wonder if you would consider taking sex off the table, at least temporarily. And we were still nodding, so I was still nodding. And I noticed Cindy was nodding even faster. And so I sped up and matched her. But inside, I was thinking, this is not what I signed up for. But we went home, and as evening drew near, our apartment was a little bit lighter. Like, there was a little bit of lightness between us. And so we went back to marriage counseling, and this time she said, would you guys mind sitting next to each other? And would you mind holding hands? And so we held hands, and I noticed Cindy leaned into me a little bit. But this session got pretty emotional, and at one point, Cindy cried out, I don't understand why he's trying to get me to have sex. Only bad guys do that. And I was like, bad guy? When the hell did I become a bad guy? Like our whole relationship was some kind of ruse to steal her virginity. No, I had done the time. I had done the work. I deserved my reward. That was many more counseling sessions. Because by making sex the reward for my good behavior, turned my wife's body into the object of that reward. It's like if I come home and I take out the trash and I put my dirty socks in the laundry and I do the dishes, I should get sexed. I'm a good boy. It's like I turn my wife into a machine. If I put in a quarter, out comes a vagina. And for Cindy, she had been expected, after having complete agency and autonomy over her body, she was expected literally overnight to give that all away. And she learned that any guy, even a good guy, could suddenly behave like a bad guy. So it took a lot of work, but eventually I had to give up on the idea that sex was my reward. But when I did, Cindy was finally able to relax around me. And then I had to find the words, how to communicate my deep love and affection for this woman who I truly adored with all my life. And we both had to relearn what intimacy was with our minds and with our bodies. I remember the two of us really had to work very hard. But eventually things started clicking. And we had to trust that the other person wasn't working some kind of angle. We had to believe deep down that we didn't have to be perfect to be good. I had to believe that God wasn't using Cindy to punish me. I had to believe that I wasn't going to be punished for being honest. So, 23 years of marriage later, I'm still learning that transactional relationships are toxic. That God is not mad at me for being horny. And that there really is something wonderful and magical and amazing about sex. But it's at the heart of letting yourself be known and truly knowing another person. Thank you.